Get this started. Show me the timer. Bingo. What's up, everybody? We are live Wednesday, June 19th. We've got a 9-gamer here. Early slate is broken up. We've got a 5-gamer early on DraftKings, which is interesting. We've got a 3-gamer and a 2-gamer on FanDuel, which is less interesting. And if you're trying to play the early on Yahoo, you get 14 games, I guess? They're all 15 or something. It includes everything. So we're split all over the map. Adam and I are going to focus on this main slate here. How'd you end up last night, man? Anything good?
No, had some sweats on the 5-game night slate. I think I played it better than anyone, but can't really do anything better about Oakland scoring 16 runs at like 20% ownership. So that was a pretty frustrating one. Main slate was just awful for me. So hopefully get it back today.
Big winner of DraftKings yesterday. Papa Gates and Sean's on. Looked like it was a good day for at least some of the other high-end players. Papa Gates took down 100K in the 500K immaculate inning last night. See what he had going on. 5-man Mets stack, naked. Flaherty and Skaggs. That'll do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So that's what I did yesterday. I had forgotten about that. With the weather, I deleted entirely the Nats game, and then I had decided I was going to just not roster the pitching from the Mets game. But in the rush of making lineups and everything, I'm getting Cruncher set up, and I just forgot what I had decided, I guess, and just crossed off the Mets game too. And so yeah, no Mets stacks for me.
Yeah, Mets 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 in the winning lineup. Sean's on had a 3-man Mets stack as part of a 4-man A's stack, so there's your A's. But yeah, Mets flooding the top half, and that makes sense. Also, Papa Gates got there with the 41 out of Whit Merrifield as a one-off, so
yep.
Decent one-off selection there. 41. That's got to be a dong plus some steals, huh?
I think it was 2 of them.
That'll do it. Anything else interesting happened last night? What did Shanzan do? Because that's always going to be an interesting look into exposures.
Stack the Marlins or something.
Let me look at it. Kind of normal. Mostly Diamondbacks, but stacked a bunch of teams, actually. So, not as crazy as I would have thought it was. Blue Jays, Cardinals, Mariners, A's. So not the typical all-in approach that you're used to seeing. Didn't have anybody more than 30%, and that was David Peralta. 28% Jake DeGrom, I guess, worked out for him.
Yeah, really good day for DeGrom. Almost a complete game shutout, and then give up back-to-back homers in the 9th. So,
Shanzan finished second to Papa Gates here. He was 28 points behind him, 238 to 210. Shanzan finished second with Kikuchi.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and Gary Sanchez with 7, and Matt Chapman with 7. Wow. Got there with the 2.65 on Kikuchi. I mean, that's when you're 25.8% owned and only 5,300, you can survive that. But you don't see that all that often.
No. But just a reminder that cheap pitching has a lot more room to go up than to go down.
Right. Look, and it's all about construction too. Think about this piece. I want to see how far down I can go. Man, I think so the top 7, maybe 8 lineups, all different 2-pitcher combinations. Flaherty Skaggs, Flaherty Kikuchi, DeGrom Keller, Senzatella Kershaw, Anderson Hamels, Flaherty DeGrom, Happ Flaherty. All of those are unique 2-pitcher combinations.
Yeah, it's
all
pretty
in the top. Happ to Flaherty has got to be 7th or 8th? Yeah, all the way down to 7th. You don't see that often. I mean, that's a testament to how many different pitchers went for, in the 20s yesterday. But
yeah, it's a testament to how many of the teams that you stacked absolutely sucked yesterday.
That's also true. That's also very true. I mean, because you're getting $1,700 or $17,000 from Papa Gates in the top spot. You're getting 14 from the Kikuchi lineup. You're getting 19 from Flaherty DeGrom, getting you into 6. So you're even getting like very different construction all through that lineup. It's all about being able to just catch those one-offs, I guess. But makes me think about pitching a little different. I kind of want to look into how the different combinations shake out on different slates. Time to dive in here. 9 games. We have weather issues again. How many times do you think Pat Corbin can try to play a baseball game without playing a baseball game?
Well, supposedly the weather's okay in the first game, so he should finally get to pitch.
Yeah, it does look fine enough. But if we're looking into the main slate, could be some rain in the second one. Who knows? Maybe a little bit of rain in Pittsburgh. Definitely some rain in Chicago, which is problematic. Definitely some rain in St. Louis, but it looks like that might taper off. So for the third day in a row, keep your eye on the weather because this one is going to get dicey again. Tune into the deeper dive from 5 to 6. Tune into Live Before Lock with Jake and Chris from 6 to 7 to get weather updates. And follow Awesemo Weather account because Alex will be giving out that information all day today. 9 games. Let's get the plugs out of the way. MLB Strategies, the promo code, 50% off your first month with us. Any monthly package you choose, including packages with Fantasy Cruncher. If you want to check us out, please use that promo code. And as always, on this strategy show, we are brought to you by Yahoo Sports. They are the presenting sponsor of this show, of the Deeper Dive, of the Early Bird podcast. If you want to sign up at Yahoo, I'm dropping the link into the chat right now. This goes to Emacs Spotlight Hitters and Stacks article. You can find a direct link to sign up to Yahoo in that article. Doesn't affect anything that you do for Yahoo, but if you use the promo code AWESEMO and you use that link, you can get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points. $30 can get you a full 10 entry max into their $3 no management fee contest. They're already at 1,100 people out of a max of 1,500. So if you're looking to get into that contest today, and I know we say it every morning, but you've got about 400 spots left. This will fill by noon. So don't delay. Get yourself in there now. Shout out to Yahoo. All right, we're doing something. I don't want to say that we're doing something new, but I've finally added a timestamping plugin, so we should be able to have timestamps for each game that we do. Put a little reminder on my screen to hit the timestamp hotkey so that I don't forget. Otherwise, this will be useless. Didn't put the reminder in on yesterday morning with Laffy. Want to guess how many timestamps I put in?
Oh, 2.
0. Straight 0. Didn't remember. So I need to put it in front of my face, beat myself over the head with it. But now we should have timestamps that'll get added to the description of the video after we're done. So for anybody that wants to see, just jump to specific games, this will be very helpful for you guys. Starting it off, Pirates and Tigers. Let's hope this works. I don't know if it did. I'll have to check the timestamp file. 4.1 run implied total for the Pirates, 3.9 for the Tigers, 53% chance to win for Pittsburgh. Trevor Williams going for the Pirates. Jordan Zimmerman going for the Tigers. Trevor Williams is getting quite a bit of ownership. I understand it's only a 9-game slate, so you're going to get some ownership from time to time. He's at 22% on Yahoo, 23% on DK. How are you? 11% on FanDuel still. How are you feeling about Trevor Williams as a pitching option tonight?
I'm interested. I mean, the price tag is affordable. The Tigers are obviously a really good matchup. Williams isn't a really high strikeout pitcher, but he's not a bad pitcher either. You know, he's pretty good at getting outs, and the Tigers will give him some extra strikeouts. So not my favorite kind of guy to roster when he's really popular just because he doesn't have a ton of strikeout upside on his own. But, 21.5% strikeout percentage against righties this year, 334 expected WOBA, 150 ISO. Like, he's just decent at a reasonable price tag on a slate where pitching isn't really that great. So I don't have a problem with Williams at all.
Okay. Now that makes some sense. He's just Trevor Williams, and there's just this group of dudes in the 7s where I'm not so much of it'll be determined by weather, but like I like John Lester, I like Eduardo Rodriguez. You can make a case for Steven Matz, and he's getting no ownership. You want to go all the way up to John Gray, that's only $700 more. I think I prefer Gray to Williams. So I get it.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
I just don't know, weather will tell a big story. Lineups will tell a big story. Obviously, rostering pitchers against the Tigers is generally going to be something you want to do. They're not good and they strike out a ton. I don't know if I need to really. I just prefer like 5 other guys other than Trevor Williams. Not that he's bad, but it could be worse. He could be Jordan Zimmerman in this exact same game.
Yeah, no, I mean that's fair. Do you know? I'm trying to get it to pull up, but it's not loading. Do you know if he made any rehab starts, and if he did, how many pitches he threw?
We're talking Jordan Zimmerman.
Trevor Williams.
Are they both coming back today?
Yeah, Williams hasn't pitched in a little over a month.
I was paying more attention to Jordan Zimmerman being back. Not seeing anything right now. Check Fangraphs.
Williams threw. Okay, yeah. So Williams threw 71 pitches on June 13th.
Okay. So he should be good for mid 80s or higher, and shouldn't be problematic. How did he end up faring? 14 batters, 3 innings.
Struck out 5.
Yeah, 5 Ks and a walk. That'll work for me. I don't ever really mind that they give up hits. They're not trying to like break people off,
Yeah, so I mean, it's at least something to keep in mind, because even if he's going to throw like 85 pitches, let's say, that's perfectly fine. But you're rostering a popular pitcher who isn't a great strikeout pitcher, who also is losing an inning pitched.
Yeah, absolutely. I have him in here for 6 innings right now. I probably need to walk that back at least like a little bit, because that's just based on him being at full strength. And if I do that, then I don't get the sense that Williams becomes a guy that I'm like super duper interested in.
Right.
I just like some of those other guys. So is there any chance that you want to get to bats in this game? I mean, I guess the Pirates look a little bit more tasty just because they get to face Jordan Zimmerman. But at the same time, it's not a great park. It's not a great run total. And it's really not that great of a Pirates team outside of, I don't know, Josh Bell.
Yeah, I mean, I think Josh Bell and Gregory Polanco are the 2 that really stand out. That left-handed power against Zimmerman. Polanco is really cheap too. He's only 3,900 on DraftKings, which is really, really nice. Bell is 4,800, which isn't cheap, but by Josh Bell standards in the season he's having, it is. So those 2 guys are the ones that really stand out the most.
And even still, like, God, something good can happen here. I am not confident that this game is the breakout offensive game that I'm really looking for. So I'm much more likely to be nowhere near Trevor Williams and quite a bit under on Pittsburgh. Let me check and see where they rank in ownership relative to the rest of the field. So on DK, Pirates are 5th in aggregate exposure. I guess that seems okay. I think that there are much better spots. But, Jordan Zimmerman will bring out the best in other people. Any Tigers bats for you? Kristen Stewart, I guess, is probably the obvious answer.
Yeah, Kristen Stewart. Castellanos is a good hitter who's really cheap. But again, I do respect Trevor Williams. It's not a great park. So those guys are both perfectly fine filler because they're cheap and they have power. But it's not like it's a spot that really jumps out.
Yeah. Stewart is probably the only guy that I'm super interested in here. Pirates Ballpark plays about neutral to left-handed home run power. 89 park factor for right-handed home run power. So might not be the best. Not that like you should just be making broad decisions based on one number, but fits a little bit better for Kristen Stewart than it does for Castellanos today. Yep. Both from a right-handed pitcher perspective and from the park. Oh, God, this is an ugly one. Gregory Polanco is $8 on Yahoo, 20% owned, so that might be a cash game outfield option. Not really any other prices in this game that are standing out. So, yeah, much more of a one-off spot than a full stack spot, probably. All right, let's move on. Blue Jays and Angels. Timestamp is in. 4.3 run implied total for the Blue Jays, 5.3 for the Angels, 59% chance to win for LA. Aaron Sanchez going for the Jays, Andrew Heaney going for the Angels. No ownership whatsoever projected for Sanchez. Heaney, 28% on Yahoo, 10% on FanDuel, 25% on DraftKings. I like Heaney quite a bit here. I actually expected to see a little bit more ownership. It looks like there's a lot more going to that Erod, Lester, Trevor Williams trio than I was really expecting. I have Heaney as my third favorite pitcher on DK. He's third on FanDuel, but the margin between him and Zach Greinke is really like razor thin for me. So I'm curious to get your thoughts on Heaney here against the Jays.
Yeah, I like Heaney a lot here. The price tag's still reasonable, and we know that he has good strikeout stuff. Obviously, he's not going to repeat what he did his first 2 starts, but he's also better than what he did in his last start against Tampa. Struck out about 24% of hitters last season. I don't really see any reason why you wouldn't expect him to come in the same range here. And we know that Toronto has strikeouts in their lineup. They do have power. You could very easily see a solo home run or two, but he's inexpensive enough that as long as he's getting strikeouts, that won't really matter as long as they are solo shots. So Heaney, I think, is a really strong mid-range play.
Do you prefer Heaney or Zach Greinke? They have essentially the same ownership, and to me, they have basically the same projection relative to their, the gap in their salary.
Yeah, it's really close for me too.
Okay.
Right now, I would give Heaney a slight edge.
Okay. Yeah, I can really go either way. The line movement and the lineup will tell the whole story.
Yeah, I expect I'll have plenty of both.
Yep, same. Any interest in Sanchez since he's 5K?
No, because there is a cheaper pitcher that isn't any worse.
Am I wrong here somehow? Do I not? Tyron McKissick says I'm missing a game and it's 10 games and not 9. Apparently, I don't have the Phillies Nats game in here.
Yeah, you're missing the Nats game. And that's the cheaper pitcher.
Let me pull up the schedule here and see how I missed that. That makes sense. So I use the MLB.com schedule and I can just paste it into my sheet. But the 7:00 Phillies Nats game is stuck in like the pair with its other game, so it's not in like time order on the list of games. So let me go ahead and get that in here while we talk. And then I'll throw it to you for bats, I guess. What stands out more to you? I'm assuming it's the Angels.
It's actually the Blue Jays.
Ooh, okay.
Just because of their pricing. I mean, the Angels, obviously you have Ohtani and Trout, who are both really, really good, but they're also expensive, and then, sure, you can full stack against Toronto, but you're just getting so many not very good hitters. Not saying that I don't like the Angels, but as far as one-off, like as far as individual hitters go, I think that the price tags on Toronto is really, really appealing, with Guerrero's 3,600 on DraftKings, Grichuk's 3,400. If Teoscar's in the lineup, he's 34. You have Gurriel for 42, which is reasonable. I like getting to those guys as one-offs here.
Okay. So we have no line on this second Phillies game, which is great. You know who's starting opposite of Jake Arrieta?
Austin Voth.
Okay, because I know they flip-flop Corbin to the morning.
Yeah. Austin Voth, $4,000 on DraftKings.
FanGraphs has it as Scherzer, so fantastic there.
Oh, okay, yeah, Scherzer broke his nose in batting practice yesterday.
Right.
So it depends. I haven't seen an official announcement, but right now I'm seeing Voth listed.
Who is in our ownership projections?
What'd you say?
I'm checking to see who's in our ownership projections. So it's clearly not Scherzer, We'd know that one. We might not even have anybody. So also not there. Philly or Washington. So turns out I'm not the only person that did this. Probably because there is no line, therefore there is no starter, therefore there's nothing. Austin Voth?
Yeah.
You're saying? Okay.
Yep.
I can only imagine that the Nats, I guess, would still be slightly favored. Voth appears to be average at best. Give it 140 minus 140. We'll call it 8.5. Arrieta can go 5.7. We'll say Voth goes not long, 4 innings.
Why?
Oh, he's been pitched. I only see 2 starts, 2 bullpen appearances.
He started 12 games for AAA this year.
Oh, that's 2018. Oh my god.
He threw 101 pitches his last time out.
I really hate when you open that up and it's not like very clear on Fangraphs if you go into game logs, but it's the year before for major stats.
Right.
So deceptive. 61.12, so 5. So we'll give him 5 runs there. On-air production, you gotta love it. I think I even put the Phillies. Yeah, these lineups are in here for me. Jake Arrieta for the Phillies. Austin Voth. There we go. Now we're dancing. We can get back into this. There's a great timestamp for everybody. Just timestamp. Here's the 2 minutes where you can skip wasting your time listening to me update my spreadsheet to get Austin Voth in here for no value whatsoever. Well, at least to me. It's going to be to you, judging by what you just said. How much is he?
Yeah. 4K.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
Probably why you reacted when I said 4 innings and you were like, nope. Nope, gonna need more than that.
Yep.
Okay. Back in business here. Blue Jays and Angels. And you're preferring the Jays.
Not as a full stack. I prefer the Jays one-offs. Like, I'd rather stack the Angels.
Okay. Yeah, Vlad Guerrero looking tasty. Randall Grichuk looking tasty. These guys are just... I love that Vlad Guerrero is 3,600. I'll roster him all day for that price. I've been rostering Grichuk every day for 2 months, so can't imagine today is going to change all that much. Tellez is $7 on Yahoo today. 2% ownership. That's certainly a guy that's interesting if he's in the lineup. I get it, lefty. Probably not going to only face lefties for 9 innings, so might be worth a power shot on Yahoo with a flat minimum. Man, the Angels are just so much easier to stack when it's Trout and it's Ohtani and it's Upton and you don't feel like you're jamming in a bunch of extra garbage.
It's tough, though, because you have 4 outfielders in the top 6.
Oh, yeah. I don't mean that like the pieces fit together all that well, but I just mean from like a getting talent back perspective. They are becoming a much better... like when it was just Trout and Ohtani wasn't back yet and Upton wasn't there, it was like, okay, Trout is pulling up my team over ownership because of how good he is individually. Whereas now we're starting to fill out with a little bit more quality in the bats. I mean, there's not really like any major holes in this lineup outside of I assume it's Rengifo.
Yeah, no, I mean it's definitely more appealing in that regard now. You get 3 like good hitters you can put in there, and then you fill it out with La Stella, Pujols, Calhoun, whoever.
Yeah.
It felt a lot different when we're getting 1 good hitter and filling it out with 4 mediocre guys.
Right. Angels are good, man. Favorite bat in this game?
Vlad.
Okay. It might still be Trout for me. He's at 22% ownership right now.
I like Ohtani more than I like Trout.
It's close for me. The $800 price gap on FanDuel is definitely more appealing for Ohtani.
Yeah.
I think on DK,
like Sanchez is just always better against righties as far as allowing power goes, and then Ohtani just has monster power.
Sure. I don't disagree there. All right, let's hop back to that Nats game. Nationals and Phillies, 4.6 run implied total for the Nats, 3.9 for the Phils. Austin Voth going for the Nationals. Jake Arrieta going for the Phillies. Austin Voth potentially going for the Nats? Is that confirmed? It is not on the betting sites right now.
Yeah, last I saw was Scherzer broke his nose and was questionable for today.
Yeah, which off of like a bunt, maybe?
Yeah.
Ooh,
yep.
That's gotta hurt so damn bad.
I mean, it's Scherzer, so my guess is kind of that if he doesn't pitch, it's because the Nationals like forcibly hold him out.
Yeah, they don't tend to get him off the mound all that easily.
Yeah.
See 2 weeks ago when he was just like, nah, I'm good. Seriously though, how bad does that have to hurt?
Oh yeah, that can't be fun.
Oh my god. It makes my face hurt thinking about it. Okay, so talk to me about Austin Voth. 4K on DraftKings. Doesn't look like he's available on Yahoo or FanDuel.
Yeah, so I'm
FanDuel,
really
obviously.
I'm really hoping that Scherzer like just starts bleeding from his nose or something and can't go. Because Voth he's been good at AAA this year. He has the highest strikeout percentage that he's had at any level since 2014 at high A. So I think he's probably made some sort of improvements. You can't really dig into stuff that easily when they're in the minor leagues, but across 12 starts, a 25.4% strikeout percentage, which is almost 4 full points higher than his AAA strikeout percentage last year. 5.6% walk percentage is about 2 points lower than his walk percentage last year. So both of those numbers look really good. He's fully stretched out, and he's only $4,000. So if Voth does get this start, I will have a lot.
So will I. I thought that my pay down option today was going to be Max Fried pretty aggressively.
Yep.
Austin Voth at 4K has dramatically just changed the game here. I have them as equals, basically, but one of them is 6,100 and the other is 4K. And, well, that's a lot. So I completely agree with you right now. It's not like the most fun spot, with Harper and Bruce. There's a lot of, well, maybe not a lot of scariness in that Phillies lineup, but at 4K, I mean, you saw earlier on lineup study. You can get a lineup to second with Yusei Kikuchi. This is a much better spot than that from a price perspective. So.
Yeah, better pitcher and better price tag.
Yeah, so
probably better pitcher. I think Kikuchi's terrible.
Even if we call them the same, even if we call Kikuchi better, like it's
right,
dramatically different price tag. Any Arrieta for you? He's getting no ownership at all.
No thanks, but I'm really excited to finally be able to roster Juan Soto and Matt Adams against Arrieta.
Yeah. Soto, kind of popular. 17% ownership right now. 4,300 on DK. The Nats currently not in this table because I pasted it before we realized I was a even bigger moron than normal. Nats are... Now the Nats are 5th in aggregate ownership on DraftKings. Phillies and Nats coming in both ahead of the Pirates. So Pirates down to 7th makes a little bit more sense. I'm not sure I love the Nats as a full stack, but I certainly have interest in Matt Adams, Juan Soto. I like these guys a lot more as individual pieces than I do as a 5-man.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the lefties individually. And then the righties are like high upside with Turner having stolen base upside, with Rendon just being really, really good. So it's not like I don't want to roster them. Dozier's cheap. If Gomes is in the lineup, he's always cheap. But the priorities for me are the lefties.
Can't say I disagree there. Yeah, the real appeal for Turner and Rendon is the fact that you get to check off short and third. If they were both outfielders, they would be not all that appealing. But if you're going to be paying up for $5,400 guys, I hope that they're talented at positions of need. Any Phillies bats for you here, though, against Voth? They're pretty cheap, all things considered, straight from top to bottom. Seem to be pretty easy to get to. They're actually the 3rd most owned team on DraftKings right now. Not even remotely close to the same story on FanDuel, where they're only owned. They're the 13th most owned team. So they're basically more expensive on FanDuel than they are on DK.
Yeah, I mean, on DraftKings, I love the pricing there. I just said that I like Voth and that he's having a really good year at AAA, but at the same time, this is a guy who isn't a top prospect and hasn't had major league success yet. So, it's not like we can have a really high confidence that he's going to go out there and do what he's supposed to do at this level. And then you're getting just really, really nice price tags. I mean, $3,800 Bryce, if he's in the lineup, a $3,700 Real Muto and a $4,200 Bruce. Segura's $3,600. I mean, they're priced for Scherzer is what it is. So you're getting a team priced to face Max Scherzer, potentially facing a guy who hasn't pitched in the majors yet this year.
I get that the pricing algorithms change a little bit more aggressively due to what's going on, just to keep the game more fun, so to speak. In what world should Scott Kingery be priced higher than Rhys Hoskins? In what world should Scott Kingery be priced higher than Bryce Harper?
Right, I agree.
In what world should Scott Kingery be the most expensive Philly?
Yeah.
He's 3,300 on FanDuel, but like Bryce is cheaper on DK than he is on FanDuel. Rhys Hoskins is cheaper on DK than he is on FanDuel. You don't see that all that often for guys that are good. It's super, super rare for that. I like the Phillies. It's going to be really hard to get away from that just because of their price point. They're probably going to make a lot of things work here. I know we talked about liking Voth, but The appeal of Austin Voth is the fact that he is 4K. It's not necessarily his talent.
And that he's not bad. But,
right. That's helpful,
not,
but you get to a lot of him because he's 4K, not necessarily because you're scared to roster against him.
Right, exactly. It's not because I think that there's a really high chance that he just shuts down the Phillies. And basically, like you said, you're getting the Voth so that you can fit in, whatever bats you want. If you're stacking the Phillies, it lets you fit in whatever one-offs and whatever pitching you want. So either side there, you're getting pretty significant value.
Right. Yeah, I do. I really do like both sides of this. Alrighty, moving on. Unless you have anything else here.
Nope.
His favorite bat in this game, Harper?
Soto
over Harper.
Yeah.
I'm going to go the other way, but not like I have a huge problem with Soto. To the Braves we go. Braves and Mets. 5.2 run implied total for the Braves. 4.3 for the Mets. 59% chance to win for Atlanta. Max Fried going for the Braves. Steven Matz going for the Mets. Fried, 6% ownership on Yahoo, 6 on FanDuel, 14 on DK. Steven Matz, 4% or below on all 3 sites. How do you feel about Fried here? He's the guy that I had my eye on pretty heavily pre-Austin Voth, so I'm curious to get your take.
Yeah, I'm with you, especially with the DraftKings price tag at 6,100. Fried's just someone I believe in because I think that he does have really good stuff. We've seen the strikeout percentage this year be lower than we expected, but the walks are also down. That's an issue when he's, like $8,000 or something like that. But at 6,100, he's still a pretty good pitcher. He has a 3.63 PCRA this year. Only 3.9% of balls in play have been barreled, which is a really, really good number. The Mets active roster since the start of last season has the 7th highest strikeout percentage against left-handed pitching at 23.7%. They've been about average in terms of production, a 320 WOBA, 103 WRC plus. They're basically an offense where if Fried isn't pitching well, they're good enough to take advantage, but they're not an offense where I would expect them to have a lot of success, even if Fried has some of his best stuff. So getting Fried at this price point on the 2-pitcher site is really appealing.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of him right now. I feel like he just can't put all the pieces together. It's like I feel like the stuff is there, and then he goes out and throws 4 1/3 because he just can't find the plate. And he's good. I want him to get there all the way, but I'll certainly take my chances when he's 6,100. He's just simply too cheap to not for a day where he could really blow that price out of the water. Like I have him projected for 14.8 right now. If he went for 28 or 29.6, if he doubled that up, I'd be like, okay, Max Fried had like a ceiling Max Fried game. It's in there. Any Mats?
The price tag on Mats is lower than his talent level, but with Fried being cheaper, with potentially having Austin Voth for free, and with Mats facing the Braves, I don't really think I'll get there. I just have so much respect for the Braves. Mats really struggles with 2 things, and it's right-handed power and stolen bases. You have a lot of right-handed power in this lineup. You have some speed at the top and at the bottom with Albies. So I think it just sets up as a really dangerous spot for Mats. I really like the Braves.
Okay. Braves are the 5th most owned team in the aggregate across both FanDuel and DK. A little bit more owned on FanDuel, a little bit less owned on DraftKings. So talk to me about some of these Braves bats. What's standing out to you against Mats? I'm assuming Acuna, Donaldson, Swanson.
Yeah, Acuna, Swanson, Donaldson. But also I think you'll be able to be contrarian here. Even if people are going to those guys at the top, not many people are going to a $5,400 Austin Riley batting 6th.
Nope.
Not many people are going to a $5,000 Ozzie Albies batting 8th.
Nope.
But
4% of the people are only going to Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, Freddie Freeman too.
4%.
It's a spot where you can definitely pay up to be contrarian if you're stacking the full team. Like I think Acuna will be a popular one-off. I think Swanson's probably a popular one-off, but it's going to be tough to stack this full team. It's where Austin Voth comes into play if he pitches. That'll really open up a lot for you. But you can get a lot of upside basically throughout this entire lineup.
Yeah, I'm completely there with you. They're a team that's hard. They won't get to a lot of ownership because of the way that they are priced and the way that optimizers work. They just naturally fall to the bottom. They're a team that you kind of have to manually manipulate. The Twins have been like that a lot lately, where they have these high salaries. They are clearly high output offenses, but because of their prices, they're less likely to just show up naturally in using Fantasy Cruncher. You need to use some mechanism to increase that, whether it's thumbs upping the Braves in Fantasy Cruncher, boosting your Braves projections, dramatically increasing their randomness could also get them into lineups more often than not. But I'm with you. I don't think that they're going to show up as much as they should here, especially some of these guys like Riley and Albies who are... I mean, Ozzy Albies is incredible against left-handed pitching, and that might be worth $5K for a second baseman that goes completely unowned. We'll see. But I'm with you. For one of the few times in the year, I actually like the Braves tonight. Any Mets bats for you against Fried?
I mean, Pete Alonso is really good.
Yeah.
He's also really expensive. Ramos is okay. But I think it's if I get to the Mets, I expect it'll most likely just be full stacks because, I don't know, I stack some random teams sometimes.
Sure. Look, Fried is the kind of guy that I don't mind full stacking against because while I think he's talented, he has a problem with putting guys on base when it goes bad. And if you get a couple walks and you get, Wilson Ramos up there, he has no problem hitting a left-handed fastball a long way. So,
yeah, I mean, I mentioned when we were talking about Fried, the 3.9% barrels per batted ball event. That's not the kind of pitcher that I'm really excited to be getting random one-off hitters against, because unless he has really bad stuff, in which case you just want all of them, he's probably not giving up a ton of power.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Favorite bat in this game?
Acuna.
Yeah, same story. It's probably Alonso for me second, though.
No.
No?
I mean, not for me. Like, it's everyone on the Braves.
Okay. I guess he is 5,400. That is a pretty healthy price tag. I do like the spot for him, though. Don't sleep on Pete Alonso tonight. All right, we are 4 games in, I guess. Perfect time for everybody to hit that like button. It helps us. And you should like the show. I mean, we're giving you the goods each morning. Subscribe to the channel. Also helps us out tremendously. And it allows you to get notifications on when we go live. We have this show, obviously, today. We will have the deeper dive coming from 5 to 6. Today is Wednesday, so this will be Alex's last show. So it's the 3-man band of Adam, Alex, and Laffy. Live before lock, Jake and Chris. Again, tonight, Jake covering for me, so shout out to Jake. And then tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, Jason Roslin, Ben Rasa, talking Travelers Championship PGA live before lock. So 9 p.m. Eastern time, we will be live tonight talking golf. Hopefully I have another solid golf week. I'm digging golf sweats. I'm enjoying it. It's fun. Cubs and White Sox. I mentioned at the top of the show, but you're going to want to pay attention to weather here, especially because this is a very interesting DFS game. Do we have a total on this yet?
On the Cubs game?
Yeah. We didn't when I started.
Yeah, it's like 6.5, I think.
Holy shit, really? 7.25 right now. I went even higher than that. I went to 8, so this is going to look even more appealing. It's always so hard trying to guess this stuff. You got to look at temperature and wind direction when they don't show it. And it's like, okay, it's supposed to be 60 degrees and it's 8-mile-an-hour wind coming in. That's why I went 8. But then sometimes it's just like 6.5. And then when it's the opposite, it's 85, winds blowing out at 15. I need to make this total 11 no matter who's pitching. It's crazy.
And yeah, I have the same total as you do. I'm just really bad at quick math.
Okay, that's fair. Oh, I was just looking at like the line itself, so I didn't have to do any math. It wasn't in front of me like that yet. Don't remember if I hit the hotkey button, so I'm just gonna put an extra one in there just in case. Cubs and White Sox. 3.9 run implied total for the Cubs, 3.3 for the Sox, 58% chance to win for the Chicago Cubs. John Lester going for the Cubs. Luke Giolito going for the White Sox. Giolito, $51 on Yahoo. 11.2 on FanDuel. That is the most expensive price by $1,600. Luke Giolito is 11-3 on DraftKings, most expensive price by $1,000. He is in single-digit ownership on DK, 1% on FanDuel, 10 on Yahoo. We'll start with Giolito. What do you do?
I mean, I love him as a pitcher. I think he's legitimately good. I don't think I'll get much on this slate because, for one, it's not like it's the best matchup against the Cubs. They do have a lot of good hitters. The weather is really appealing, obviously, and again, Giolito is really good. But the big reason why I think that it'll be tough for me to get there is you maybe have Max Scherzer on the slate at the top, but even if you don't, you have that mid range with Gray and Greinke and Heaney and you have Rich Hill facing the Giants. You have a lot of guys that are just cheaper than Giolito that I think are in similarly good spots and have plenty of upside in their own right. So I just don't think I'll end up getting to a lot of Giolito at that price tag.
It's just too much, right? It's too easy to get to Rich Hill or Greinke or Heaney or, I mean, really, it's a really tough day to want to spend 11-3. Although the weather is setting it up to be perfect, but you also have to worry about, does this game start and get paused in the third inning or something and really screw you over?
And like the thing is, like once you get to over 11K, even if he goes out there and gets like 30 points, obviously that's really good and you would like to have him, but it's not like you are looking at tournaments and being like, man, I can't win because I don't have this guy.
Yeah.
Because you'll still need cheap bats to go off, or you'll need a cheap SP2 to do well or whatever. So once guys start getting up over 11K, I start to get to them a lot less in tournaments, unless there's someone like Chris Sale or Garrett Cole.
Or Max Scherzer, I guess, probably. Hunter M asking, but you never talked about Max if he goes. I assume that you and I are both very interested in Max Scherzer if he pitches today?
Yeah, of course.
Right. Yeah, he's always in play. I would imagine, the best starter on the slate if Max Scherzer ends up starting. I can't imagine I would take anybody ahead of him. It's certainly not going to be Giolito, and I would guess that I would rather have Max Scherzer than Rich Hill.
Yeah, I would. Whatever exposure I'm going to get to Hill and Giolito would kind of just like move towards Scherzer, I would expect.
Yeah. He's like, it's like talking about Mike Trout. I don't have anything to say. He's just going to be at the top. So let's talk about John Lester here. $41 on Yahoo. This is incredible. 44% expected ownership. He's at 29% expected ownership on FanDuel, 37 on DraftKings. How do you feel about John Lester chalk night today against the White Sox?
I mean, I'm going to have some. I doubt I'm going to have that much. He's in a good spot against a team that strikes out a lot. The White Sox active roster has the fourth highest strikeout percentage against lefties since last year. 296 WOBA, 85 WRC plus. There's not a whole lot, good to say about them. The conditions are obviously very good for Lester. Lester's just a guy, though. And whenever pitchers like that get massive ownership, I tend to be underweight because they just don't have the range of outcomes to where I'm really that concerned about them breaking the slate. Lester can go for 20 points and I'll be fine. If I don't have him, I think I can find that somewhere else. If he goes for like 30 plus at 7,400, then I'm in trouble. But that doesn't happen very often. He's just not a high strikeout pitcher. If he gets a bunch of fly balls to the outfield, that's not really getting you fantasy points. So, 22.9% strikeout percentage against righties this year, 190 ISO, 341 expected WOBA. He's just a guy. And I don't intend on rostering someone like that at as much ownership as the field if he's coming in around 40%.
The White Sox are the lowest owned team on DraftKings right now. I'm going to go out on a limb and say they'd be one of my 3 most owned teams.
Yeah, I wouldn't be doing that.
Relative to the field. Sorry, I don't mean like I'm going to have like 15% White Sox when they're owned at 1%. Sorry,
yeah,
I phrased that wrong. No. But if they're at 1% aggregate, I would expect myself to be in like the 5 or 6 range.
Sure. Okay. Now I'm with you. I was just like, yeah, I'm not stacking them in like a third of my lineups.
No. I didn't mean it to come out like that. Yeah, that would be a bit aggressive. But they are the highest ranked team that I have compared to like other teams that are getting ownership. They have the highest pitching exposure, and no matter what the total is, you described it perfectly. John Lester is just a guy. We happen to recognize his name because he was good for a while, but he's just like a league average pitcher. I want to get Jose Abreu. I want to get Tim Anderson. I want to get Eloy Jimenez, because these guys are going completely unowned, and John Lester is at 37% ownership on DraftKings because of his price, not because of his talent.
Yeah, because of his price and the thing that makes it difficult for me is that it's also because of the weather.
Yes.
And it's a really bad spot for these guys to be hitting home runs. So
very true.
That makes it, obviously less appealing. If this were just like a neutral wind and weather game and Lester was still getting a bunch of ownership, which he probably would be at this price point, I'd be really excited to get to the White Sox. Now it's kind of just like I feel like I'm stuck because I don't really see the edge in having Lester at that kind of ownership, but I also don't think the White Sox scored a bunch of runs.
This one strikes me as one of those things where tomorrow morning when Laffy and I do the show, or when Jake and Laffy do the show rather, and they pull up lineup study and Alex has a 5-man naked White Sox stack that went bonkers, and everybody's just like, how does he end up on the White Sox when John Lester was there? And it's just like, because this is how it works.
Right.
Because if John Lester is 9,400, he's not getting any ownership and no one's interested in the White Sox bats. The interest in the White Sox bats comes from the fact that John Lester is underpriced.
You're trying to win tournaments. You're not trying to get like the highest percentage of your lineups correct or whatever, like be correct in the highest percentage of your lineups.
Right.
Especially with payout structures now. There's no money in just being right when the field is right. There's a lot more money in just hoping that the field is wrong every single day.
Yep. Absolutely. So yeah, the biggest stand I will take in this game is being over the field by a significant margin relative to the field on the White Sox bats. And I would imagine that I'll come in like the 20% area on Lester, because it's still there's a reason that he's getting that ownership. The White Sox strike out a ton. They're not a particularly interesting hitting team. The weather is absolutely nerfing this entire game. But what's interesting to me is Wrigley Field plays up to right-handed power big time. It kills left-handed power, and we're in a scenario where we might see 8 straight righties plus Giolito taking on Lester. All those pieces fit together really well. It just so happens that it's going to be 50 degrees, potentially raining, and the wind blowing in.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, and I'm with you. I'm not saying I'm not going to have any Lester, but if he's like 40%, I would guess that I come in around 20.
Yeah, me too.
And if you don't have him, the most likely outcome for you to be successful isn't that Lester blows up. It's that Lester just doesn't get a lot of strikeouts and he gives up some fly balls. And, he has a good start, but not a start that you have to have. And then you can beat him with a different SP2. But there is that percentage where he does just get lit up. And so you do want to have some exposure to the White Sox, because if that happens, 40% of the field just lost. And out of the remaining 60%, you're in the very small minority that has the White Sox.
Right. I would say that you have a much better chance of winning a contest today if you have the White Sox and they do well compared to if you have John Lester and he does well.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know what you're saying, and I agree. You have there's a better chance that the winning lineup tonight has John Lester in it than the White Sox, because there's going to be half the field that has John Lester in their lineups.
Agreed.
Which, on a side note, I think is one of the biggest mistakes people make when they go back and review stuff is, oh, look, this guy was in the winning lineup. See, he was a good play. And it's like, just because you're in the winning lineup doesn't mean that he helped you win. Just look at, Kikuchi yesterday.
Yeah.
But as far as if you played this slate 162 times and you could only choose one side, you're going to make more money being on the White Sox side than the Lester side by the end of the year.
Yeah. It's not because if you get John Lester right, and let's say that he has like an 80th percentile performance, he goes for 28 or something like that, you still need to get the other team right and beat out the other 40% of the people that have John Lester. Whereas if the White Sox are the team that hits like 5 dongs today off of John Lester, you are fighting almost no one at the top. And the goal is to win that contest. Until they start flattening out the payouts like we want them to, scooping up $50K for first is a lot better than making sure that you sneak into 9th and get $100.
Yeah.
Whew. Now, with that said, do you like any Cubs bats against Giolito?
No.
Yeah, I don't think that I do either. I mean, clearly I'll take Kyle Schwarber anytime he pops up against pretty much anybody if he's leading off. But this is not really a good spot to stack the Cubs. They're cheap. That's appealing. They tick off the boxes of good positions, but 3.9 run implied total for the team that's projected to win against a guy who very well could be, a high-end number 2 starter now, or a legitimate number 1 potentially by the time we get to September. I don't need it. Not in this weather. What White Sox bats stand out most for you?
Jimenez, number 1, and then Abreu, Anderson, McCann.
Anybody else we need to mention here? It's a big time swing game. If I look back at the weather right now, they're probably gonna have to play this one pretty wet or hope for the best of like dodging spotty storms. I'm not trying to be the meteorologist at 10:26 a.m., but we really need that one. This changes the entire scope of this slate if this game falls off. Where does John Lester's 40% exposure go?
It also, not even that, if there's a good chance that Lester just comes in at much lower ownership because of the weather.
Yeah. Which then opens up Pandora's box.
Yeah, I'm assuming our 10 o'clock ownership projections don't factor in for changes because of the forecast.
No.
So if weather people are saying, oh, there's a chance of a delay at 5 p.m., there's going to be a lot of people just kind of cutting their Lester out.
Yeah. Which makes Lester more interesting in a way.
Right. Exactly.
It's a shell game. You're constantly moving thought processes around. Okay, so let's say let's hypothetically, let's say that this game falls off the slate. Where does John Lester's 37% ownership end up? Does that just basically get transitioned directly to Eduardo Rodriguez for the most part?
I think it goes to some will probably go to Fried for less.
Keep in mind, we also have Austin Voth at 1. He's really not a part of this original ownership projections. That number is not going to be 1.
You would probably see some go to Ponce de Leon also against the Marlins.
Okay.
And Trevor Williams would get more.
Definitely not EMAC in the YouTube chat. I hope this is just a troll and not a legitimate statement. I'm pretty. Okay, that's the best impression I have in me. Okay, I think he's trying to do a Sean V. He said, Vegas is wrong, per usual. Tell me the last time the White Sox scored exactly 3.2 runs. Look, the sad thing is, it's really hard to see trolling sometimes because that question is a coin flip to be a legitimate question. Which is terrifying, honestly. Favorite bat in this entire game?
Jimenez.
Okay. As ridiculous as it is, it's Schwarber for me, but I'm tired of riding the emotional roller coaster that is Luke Giolito. I went from loving him last year as being a garbage pitcher to hating him at the beginning of this season because he wasn't good enough for us in September to now just being like, I don't know what to do. Maybe I'll just hate him and make it a gimmick. All right, let's move to the Rangers now. Rangers and Indians. 5.5 run implied total for the Rangers. 5 for the Indians. Do I have that right? Is it 10.5? I feel like I made that one up too. It is 11 actually. Bump that up a little bit. Okay. Even bigger number here.
There it is.
You good?
Yeah, I hadn't refreshed my page, and so I didn't have a line there.
No one ever got rich telling the truth. Do your research and take advice with a grain of salt. Sure. Adam, you're getting richer telling the truth, right?
Yeah.
It might not be rich. We might not be Alex rich, but we're telling the truth on here. It would be so much effort to lie. It would be so much effort.
I just don't think people are good enough at making lineups. I could tell them exactly who to play, and I still think I'd make better lineups.
Agreed. You guys are awesome. Lost me thousands thus far. Now we're talking. Okay, 5.7 run implied total for the Rangers, 5.2 for the Indians. 55% chance to win for Texas. Joseph Palumbo going for the Rangers. Adam Plutko going for the Indians. Both of those guys sound like they just got generated by the draft in the show in like 2026. As best I can tell, Joseph Palumbo is not on any one of these sites.
He's on DraftKings.
He is? Is he Joe
55.
Palumbo or something stupid?
Yeah.
Is he really? Motherfucker.
He's 6K on FanDuel.
Okay, so he's Joe Palumbo everywhere, but Joseph Palumbo on Fangraphs?
Yep.
Yeah.
25 on Yahoo.
Yeah, I don't go down this path until I know that I need to. So let's jam him in there. I'm honestly starting to think that I need to, in my next life, start a career of being like the guy that just makes sure everybody's name is the same and everything. Because this is the most frustrating thing in the world. Yordan Alvarez, when he came up in Fantasy Cruncher, had a symbol as the A. I don't know if it's still there or not. I assume that it is. But it's a vertical line with like a dash in the center. It's like an F without the top. Like, what? How does that even happen? Okay. So, let's try this again. Palumbo in. Adam Plutko getting no ownership across the board. Do you have any interest in either pitcher here?
Definitely not in Plutko. He isn't great regardless, but he's better against righties, really struggles with left-handed power, doesn't strike lefties out, and now you're getting him in Texas against a bunch of lefties that have power. So I really like Texas bats. I'm not on Plutko. Not really on Palumbo either. Not a ton of strikeouts for the Indians. He does have better strikeout stuff than Plutko does, but I would still rather look to some Indians bats.
Can't even get the damn names to pull through here. But I'm with you. This is not a place for pitching as far as I'm concerned. Plutko is interesting-ish, but I'd rather have Fried and I'd rather have Voth, and that kind of just, I don't need to have all of my exposure wrapped up in $6,100 pitchers. Let's talk Rangers bats. They are the second. Okay, well, let's talk every bat in this game. Indians have the most aggregate ownership on the slate. Rangers are tied with them. Indians a little bit more popular on DK. Rangers a little bit more popular on FanDuel. Do you expect to be soaking up a lot of hitter exposure in this game?
Yeah, I do. Plutko's thrown 815 pitches to lefties since last season. He's allowed a 398 WOBA and a 311 ISO. He's now pitching in Texas against probably like 6 lefties.
Everybody grades out well for me here, so I totally get where the public is coming from. So let's talk DK to start. Indians a little bit more chalky than the Rangers. Where do you want to be?
I'd take the Rangers out of these two teams if I could only roster one.
Okay.
The Rangers are a little bit, I guess they're not even really less expensive. They're similarly priced, but like Mazara is cheap, Cabrera is cheap, Odor is cheap, Chu's worth the price tag, Guzman's cheap, Santana you can pay up to be contrarian because who the hell is paying $4,800 for Danny Santana? Yeah, so I really like Texas. I think that they're in the better spot too, just because Plutko doesn't miss bats and Palumbo at least does have some strikeout upside. So while I like both offenses, I'd rather be on Texas.
I do not disagree. What happened to the Indians? When did they stop being good? I don't like this lineup at all outside of Lindor and Santana.
Started being good yesterday, so
yeah, that's fair. And this Rangers team, I mean, it's just this massive group of like sluggers that can't make contact.
Which is why facing a guy with a 14% strikeout percentage against lefties is pretty appealing.
Oh yeah, I'm not trying to say that I don't want the Rangers here. That 5.7.
No, I know. I was agreeing with you.
Yeah. Give me Chu. Give me Mazara. Give me Astripple. Give me Odor. Ronald Guzman's 3,600. None of these guys, like, the ownership on the Rangers is relatively flat on DK. The highest number is Chu at 13. Everybody else in single digits. On FanDuel, they're owned out the ass. 4% to Andrews, but everybody else in double digits. You've got Odor in the 20s. You've got Chu in the 20s. Mazara and Cabrera at 17 and 18. I don't really know how to get away from this game. It's very clearly the best offensive environment. I'm in for this.
Yep.
Who's your favorite hitter on the Rangers?
Factoring in price, probably Mazara. I mean, it's Mazara or Chu. Chu's more expensive.
Probably Chu for me, but it's close. I agree. What about on the Indians? Just Lindor?
Or Ramirez.
Okay.
just because Ramirez is still free. If you're stacking the Indians, Mercado's a way to be contrarian. He's probably batting second. He's 5K on DraftKings. People are going to play. They're going to prioritize Lindor as the guy to pay up for, and then they're going to play, Ramirez and Luplo, and then start mixing in the other guys. So I think that we saw it yesterday. Mercado was really low owned, even though the Indians overall were popular. I think you can get a similar spot today.
Turns out I already had Palumbo in my sheet, and that's why everything is just all jacked up. I made him be Joseph Palumbo, but he's actually Joe Palumbo originally, and then they changed him to Joseph Palumbo. Who is in charge of this on Fangraphs is what I would like to know. I need to reach out to Dave Appelman here, because he is now to start this season, March 30, whatever the hell, he was Joe Palumbo with the minors player ID. Now he is Joseph Palumbo with the majors ID. Like, he's a completely different human being. So special thanks going out to Fangraphs for making my life way more complicated than it should be. Goodbye, Joseph Palumbo. Hardly knew ye. Oh, man. This game is going to be a 1-0 3-hit affair, and everybody's going to lose their mind, huh?
Yep.
Feels incredibly likely. Alrighty, let's keep it moving here. Clear that old throat. Let's head to the Twins. Twins and Red Sox. 4.8 run implied total for the Twins. 4.7 for the Sox. 52% chance to win for Minnesota. Kyle Gibson going for the Twins. Eduardo Rodriguez going for the Red Sox. Gibson not getting any ownership. $37 on Yahoo. 8K on FanDuel. 8,800 on DK. Highest ownership is 6% on Yahoo. Erod looking to be, a SP2 option. 15% ownership on Yahoo, where I like him a lot. 3% on FanDuel, 13 on DK. Do you want to do anything with Gibson or Erod? Anything specific?
No, I'm not really interested in either one. I think they're both decent pitchers, but both in really tough spots here. Neither team strikes out a lot. Both teams have a lot of power. For Rodriguez, you're talking about a lot of right-handed power specifically. Gibson, a pretty balanced lineup against him. He's more susceptible to left-handed power. So Devers, I think is probably the most dangerous hitter as far as just matching up against Gibson. But I'm just more interested in hitting in this game than pitching.
Yeah, I think I feel the same way. I do really like Erod. He's $36 on Yahoo. I think that is probably the most appealing spot for anybody. He's the lowest of all of those guys that are in that mid-tier on DraftKings. So that makes me interested, but he's just a guy for me. Kyle Gibson's, I think, way too expensive. I'd prefer Greinke. I prefer Heaney, so he's just sandwiched in between them. I don't need Kyle Gibson at 8K on FanDuel. I'd prefer, all four guys at the top first. So I also prefer hitting. If we're looking at the Twins, not a ton of ownership. They'd be easy to get over the field on. If we look at the Red Sox, also middle of the pack. They are 9th in the aggregate for FanDuel and DraftKings. How do you want to try to prioritize hitting in this game where the Twins are... The prices are better now. Red Sox always kind of difficult with the going outfield to start. So how do you get to whichever team you prefer?
So I think I prefer Minnesota by a little bit. They have a little bit higher implied run total. Cruz is reasonably priced. Cron's affordable. Those guys both obviously have a ton of power. Polanco's reasonably priced. Garver's too expensive, but he is a catcher, probably hitting toward the top of the order. So it's a nice contrarian option. You can save a little bit of money, too, towards the bottom of the order with Sano, Gonzalez, and Scope. All those guys have enough power for their price tags. And then as far as the Red Sox, what stands out is that Mookie Betts is once again 4,400 on DraftKings, which makes no sense ever. It's not a good matchup, but it's just too cheap of a price point for a hitter as good as Betts is. Devers is very affordable, 4,400, tons of power, has the platoon advantage. And then, mixing in some Benintendi and JD and Bogarts is fine. Jackie Bradley at 3,600 is a reasonable play as well.
He's a dude that I feel like is never owned the way that he should be.
Bradley?
Yeah.
I feel like he's always over-owned.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Oh yeah.
He gets... I don't know if it's just because he's like the conduit to being able to roster them so often.
Right.
But I'm always just like, oh, cool, I've got 30% Jackie Bradley, and I'm with the field today. And all I want to do is just have Benintendi or Betts or Martinez instead of him, and it just never happens. I'm right there with the field, and it's just frustrating. I've always wanted Jackie Bradley to be better, like from a fantasy perspective.
I get excited every time he goes on one of those like month-long hot streaks where we think he's maybe finally figured it out.
Yeah, same. I think we're probably on the same page that Nelson Cruz is the best Twins bat.
Yeah, him and Crone,
Yeah.
but slight edge to Cruz. Since last season, 218 plate appearances against lefties for Cruz, 238 for Crone, 322 ISO for Cruz, 276 for Crone. Both have WOBAs over 400. Crone a 161 WRC plus, Cruz 159.
If you're picking two of the three main outfielders from the Red Sox, who are they?
Betts for sure number one. And then I guess Benintendi.
Okay. Benintendi for me on FanDuel for sure, where he's $900 cheaper than Martinez. The $700 gap on DK is a little bit closer.
Yeah.
I think this game is going under-owned.
So do I.
And I'll say this much. Austin Voth is going to make it a lot easier to do it.
Yeah, I'm still not convinced he's pitching, but that would be nice.
Yes, it would. I also wouldn't be mad if it was Scherzer.
It also could be Fetty, is the thing.
True. All right, Cardinals and Marlins. Cardinals 4.5 run implied total. Marlins 3.5. It's a 60% chance to win for the Cards. Daniel Ponce de Leon going for St. Louis. Trevor Richards going for the Marlins. Neither guy getting any more than 5% ownership on any one of the three sites. Are you going to be getting to Ponce de Leon or Richards at all?
Wouldn't expect that I get to much Richards. I wouldn't expect that I get to much of either guy.
Yeah.
But Ponce de Leon is kind of interesting at really low ownership facing the Marlins. I mean, they're the same team they always are. They strike out. They don't hit well. The weather here is pretty nice for hitting, and Ponce de Leon isn't a stud or anything like that, but he's still affordably priced. I'm not sure why he only threw 71 pitches last start, but he has plenty of starts at AAA this year where he threw well over 100 pitches, so I'm not too concerned about that. More concerning is that he only struck out 19% of hitters at AAA this year, and he walked 12%. So that's not really what you want to see, and I don't think that I get to a ton of him. I'd rather just get John Gray, but if he is like 5% owned facing the Marlins, there's some tournament interest to just be a little bit over that number.
No ownership really going to anything this game. Cardinals are in the middle of the pack. Marlins are being completely unowned. If you had to break this down into four things, Cards bats, Marlins bats, and the two pitchers, what stands out most to you?
Cards bats because of their pricing and because eventually I think these guys will be good again. They have too much talent not to be. Richards has... I actually didn't realize how good his strikeout numbers, or I forgot how good his strikeout numbers against righties have been this year.
Yeah.
He struck out 25.4%, and he's facing a right-handed heavy lineup here. So that's kind of interesting, but still allowed a 184 ISO. He's outside of Miami. Good hitting weather, like I said. It's just so hard for me not to keep rostering a $3,700 Goldschmidt or a 4K Carpenter because I have years and years of data of these guys being excellent hitters, and I think it's a huge mistake to take their most recent 2 months and say, oh, these guys are done. They can't hit anymore. Especially when you're talking about guys that it's not like they're like 40 years old or something.
Right. I'm with you. They're really easy to get to. The positional breakdown of the top of the Cardinals lineup is fantastic. This strikes me as a spot where I'll probably be over the field. Not that I'm really happy about it. 4.5 run implied total for the Cards is not as appealing as I would like it to be. It's not a great park for right-handed power, which is kind of what you're trying to get from St. Louis just based on the way that they're set up outside of Carpenter. I think Richards is solid, so it's a little scary, but I like the pricing.
I think the weather helps a lot, and I think the fact that there's not many really good pitchers coming in after Richards helps.
Yeah, I agree.
Then the price, of course.
Any Marlins bats? Granderson?
I mean, if like Scherzer pitched, I could see stacking Miami, and because Ponce de Leon has an issue with walks, and so there's a chance for this to be a game where you're just getting a ton of base runners. Miami is essentially free. You could get Scherzer plus whatever else you want, and get a Marlin stack with a nice park shift.
How old is Curtis Granderson? Because I feel like he's 50.
I think he's like 38 or something.
Oh my god, I just feel like he's been in the league for. Has he been in the
Yeah,
league
I'm
since
pretty sure he started playing when I was in like middle school.
2004? Made his major league debut.
Yeah. Started playing when I was in middle school.
2004 for the Tigers.
Yep.
So he's been in the majors the entire time that I have been out of high school. Kudos to you, Curtis, for a hell of a career.
And he's 38.
He was good.
Yeah, he was. Especially once he got to the Yankee Stadium.
He had a 7.9 win above replacement year with the Tigers in 2007. 6.9 wins above replacement in 2011. Then he put up 5.3 for the Mets in 2015. Like every 4 or 5 years, this guy finds the fountain of youth or steroids or something. All right, let's get out. 2 to go. Diamondbacks and Rockies. D-backs 4.8 run implied total. Rockies 4.1. 58% chance to win for the Diamondbacks. Zach Greinke going for Arizona. John Gray going for the Rockies. Greinke 16% ownership on Yahoo, 8% on FanDuel, 23 on DraftKings. John Gray 6, 4, and 10 in that same order. I like Greinke quite a bit, but I think that John Gray is going under-owned here.
Yeah, so do I. The run total for Arizona seems higher than it really should be. Gray's a good pitcher. He's outside of Coors. It's like 105 degrees, so I assume the roof's going to be closed, which is a big deal. Yeah, I mean, the Diamondbacks have some good hitters, and Gray has a tendency to disappoint, but his numbers in the aggregate are good. He struck out 26.4%, reasonable 8.8% walk percentage, 3.64 xFIP. He's just a pretty good pitcher, and you're getting him outside of Coors at a really, really appealing price tag.
Yeah, I'm very, very interested here. On FanDuel, he's only 8,200. I think that is a spot where he's got 4% ownership. If you ended up on 8 to 10 of John Gray, you're never freaking out. On DK, I mean, 25% ownership going to Heaney, 10% to Gray. That's probably pretty close to right, but I don't mind if that John Gray number creeps up.
Yeah.
Not at 8K. That's so much margin for error, especially against the Diamondbacks team. What are you really worried about here? I mean, it's not a great strikeout matchup. That much, I think, is fair. But, I mean, I think John Gray is just really good.
Yeah, and overall, like you said, not a great strikeout matchup. Their active roster ranks 20th this year against right-handed pitching in strikeout percentage, but a 316 WOBA and 92 WRC+.
We're being told that the roof is open?
That would make a difference. That would be really, really weird because who wants to watch baseball when it's 105 degrees?
Right. Can't imagine. I mean, John Means season is the one that's saying it in YouTube chat, so take that with a grain of salt.
Sounds like a smart person. The roof is open.
Then I don't understand the game totals.
What'd you say?
Then I don't understand how this is an 8.6 run implied total. I don't care that it's Greinke and John Gray.
Well, I mean, now the Arizona run total makes more sense to me.
Yeah. But now the Rockies total doesn't make as much sense to me. I think Greinke's good, but under 4 in 100-degree weather?
Yeah, I mean, they'd probably be at like 3-3 if the roof were closed.
Maybe.
So, regardless, I still like the pitching here, but that is a point against them.
Yeah, for sure. Makes me like Heaney more than Greinke.
Sure.
If I had, that makes for a really nice differentiator between the two. Confirmed open. It was open last night, too. Craziness. Okay, so let's talk bats then. I thought that I liked the Rockies a little bit. Blackman, Dahl, Arenado, Story. I don't mind getting that 4-man band, but I don't know. What do you think? What do you like out of this game from a hitting perspective? This game's weird to me now.
I mean, I just have a ton of respect for Greinke, and the Rockies are expensive, so I don't really think I'll get there much. I could see getting to like David Peralta. I could see getting to Christian Walker, just two power bats that are a little bit cheaper than their power merits.
Yeah.
But like, I don't want to pay 5,100 for Dyson. I don't want to pay 5,300 for Marte. I don't really want to pay 5,100 for Escobar. I don't know. I think that they're priced for the most part. These teams are priced kind of to where I just don't really want them.
Yeah, I'm starting to think you're right. Who's your favorite bat in this game?
Peralta.
Okay. I think it honestly might be Trevor Story for me. I don't like this game. I really don't. I'm really curious to see what this line does just throughout the day. It could move in both directions, and I wouldn't know what to think. And I also don't understand why they're playing this game in the middle of the heat. That sounds miserable.
I mean, I guess by the time the game starts, it'll be like 100, and like it doesn't feel bad at night there. It
Still
doesn't feel
playing
great.
baseball in 100-degree weather.
Yeah, but it's not humid.
I mean, isn't that
Like
the point of the roof, really?
it feels like when it's 100 there, it's similar to being outside where we live when it's like 90.
Sure. That's also not appealing if you can shut a roof. Wonder what it costs to shut the roof.
But yeah, and I think it also comes down to like people want to watch baseball outside. So I mean, watching baseball inside sucks.
Yeah, but watching baseball inside is a lot better when it's 72 compared to outside at 99.
Yeah, I don't know. Without the sun though, it's not that bad.
I don't know. It doesn't really matter, does it? Our opinions on whether or not it's comfortable to watch a baseball game in 95-degree weather is fucking meaningless. DFS analysis. Did I say favorite bat in this game? I did, right? You said Peralta?
Yeah, Story. You said Story, but
No. Your answer was Peralta,
oh
right?
yeah, my answer was Peralta.
All right, let's close it out. Dodgers and Giants. 4.6 run implied total for the Dodgers. 2.9 for the Giants. 69% chance to win for LA.
Nice.
Rich Hill going for the Dodgers. Drew Pomeranz, ya boy, going for the Giants. Rich Hill, 35% owned on Yahoo, 22 on FanDuel, 34 on DK. Let's start with Rich Hill. Barring Max Scherzer making a incredible appearance into this slate, I think Rich Hill is pretty clearly the best pitching option today. He is the second most owned guy right now behind John Lester, but I'm curious. How do you feel about Rich Hill?
I mean, assuming Scherzer is not pitching. It's kind of tough because he is kind of expensive and the Giants don't give you a ton of strikeouts, but he is a good pitcher. It is a safe spot, as far as the Giants aren't good. So um, I'm fine with Hill. I don't really feel like I know he's going to be popular. And so I don't feel like it's like a Chris Sale spot where I'm just saying like, screw it. I'm going to take 100% and just be overweight. I think that Rich Hill's perfectly fine. He'd be my SP1 in cash if Scherzer doesn't pitch.
Sure. See, I think that he is like a pretty solid step above most of these guys. I agree with you that I don't want to be like Chris Sale dropping the hammer on the entire slate with it, but at 34%, the most likely scenario for me is that I'm in the 50s.
Sure.
I think the more interesting piece to talk about, and it's not really going to be all that, well, it won't be all that interesting on FanDuel and DK. I assume you're not that interested in Pomeranz at 6,200, given the people that are below him.
Right. So, I mean, I prefer Fried. I prefer Voth. But if Voth isn't an option, I would start to become a little bit interested in Palm just because of the price tag. But again, it's not a matchup that you really like against LA. I don't like that the game's not in San Francisco. The things that I've pointed out about Palm for a month now are still there. He's 15th out of all starters who have thrown at least 750 pitches and 2-strike percentage, which is really surprising, but also a pretty big deal. The strikeouts themselves are there for him as well. It's just been a matter of him making too many mistakes in the zone and giving up home runs, but the price tag does kind of mitigate that.
I'm leading you to this. How do you feel about Drew Pomeranz on Yahoo at the flat minimum? There is no Austin Voth.
Right. I mean, I feel And so Fried's $13 more expensive too. So
Right.
yeah, that's a pretty appealing price tag. The flip side is that on Yahoo, normally you can get enough $7 or $8 hitters that you don't need to get there.
Right.
Like there have been slates this year where I do the show and I'm really excited about some guy at $25, and then he just doesn't even end up in my lineups because it's not needed.
Sure. That one stood out to me because I knew, look, if you're going to be rostering Drew Pomeranz, you probably want him close to the minimum as possible.
Yep.
Hoping that he doesn't get bombed, he goes 5, but somehow miraculously strikes out like 9, because that's sort of what you're looking for. Let's talk bats. Dodgers, a little popular. They are 7th overall across both sites. It should come as no surprise that the Giants are not popular at all. So let's do this in 2 batches. 1, how do you feel about the Dodgers? I'm not as enamored. They are not as great against. They don't profile as well against lefties as they do against righties because so many of their incredible bats are left-handed hitters. And 2, do you have any interest in the Giants as a hedge spot against Rich Hill?
I don't have interest in the Giants. I do have interest in the Dodgers because while I think Pomeranz is better than his numbers this year suggest, I don't think he's an elite pitcher or anything. And you do have some right-handed power here. Kike Hernandez is really, really cheap. Justin Turner's underpriced. Bellinger hits lefties really well, and lefty won't be that popular. Chris Taylor is really cheap. So it's, again, it's a really good offense at an appealing price tag against a middle-of-the-road pitcher.
Yeah, same page here for it. Tyler Austin, 3,400, first base outfield eligibility on DK, first base on FanDuel, $7 on Yahoo. I think that's probably the most interesting piece of the Giants, especially if he's hitting third. He's not very good, but I guess power versus a lefty is the appeal. But 2.9 run implied total is a little scary for San Francisco. Not quite the late night hammer you're looking for.
Yeah.
Favorite Dodgers bat?
Kike.
Same. $10 second baseman on Yahoo if you're interested. 3,200 dual eligibility on DK, potentially hitting leadoff. 17% ownership, so you've just found yourself a cash second baseman or potentially a cash outfielder.
Yep.
I don't have anything else. So let's sum it up. Favorite stacks on DK today?
Braves, Rangers.
Okay. Pitching is going to be Austin Voth if he is there, plus who's the other
now
priority?
I'm seeing Scherzer listed.
Really? Let's find out.
So now I'm Googling.
No one listed on MLB.com. No one listed on my betting site.
Yeah, if I Google it, I still don't see.
Here we go. John Heyman, 5 minutes ago. Here, Max Scherzer, after breaking his nose in BP yesterday, is still planning to pitch tonight versus rival Phillies.
Yeah, that's like the least shocking news all day.
Yeah.
I hope he wears like a Kane mask. Or Bane mask.
I liked it better as Kane.
Yeah.
Or like when The Undertaker broke his face. That would be good too. Trying to think of other. It would be really cool if he just wore like a Lucha Libre style, like Rey Mysterio Jr. mask. That would be fun. Any mask. The Scream mask would be great.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
Oh, that would be really awesome if he came out and just pitched in the Scream mask. Oh, it'd be so good. It'd be so funny. All right, I'm gonna clear this out. I'm gonna put Scherzer in, and let's just circle back and take a peek at it. Just throw out any sort of info that may or may not be interesting, because the difference between it being Voth and Scherzer is essentially night and day. So
yep.
While we're here, we might as well just keep taking a look at it quickly. All right, so I'll change Austin Voth to Max Scherzer. I will assume that Scherzer goes 6 2/3 at a minimum. And I assume that he's going to be a monstrous favorite. Is there a line on that game yet?
Not that I'm seeing.
I've got plus 151 Phillies, minus 175 Nats, which is probably close enough. I would expect it to go a little bit higher than that. I do have the total in at 8.5. It appears to be 9.5 at Bookmaker. So let's see where we're at here. I assume Scherzer outpaces Rich Hill by a mile. So That's really what we're worried about here. I really wanted to pay down with Austin Voth, too. This sucks. Yeah. Why has Max got to be such a tough guy? The mask with the old president's faces. Yeah, that would be also good. If he came out like the George Bush mask in DC. Yeah. That'd be awesome. Came out with the Obama mask. Turns into this big racial issue.
Right.
All right. I've got Scherzer in here now. So Scherzer is $12K on DK. He's $11.7 on FanDuel and $61 on Yahoo. So just for reference sake, he would be $500 more expensive than Luke Giolito and $2,100 more expensive than Rich Hill. On DraftKings, he's $1,700 more expensive than Rich Hill. On Yahoo, it's $8. I have Scherzer, if he pitches 6 2/3 in this game, projected for 9.7 strikeouts. I see no reason to suspect that Max Scherzer isn't the clear best pitching option, even at $12K.
I agree with you.
Okay. How do
going
you...
like?
Go ahead.
I was going to say going like price range by price range. I would say Scherzer, Heaney, Lester, Fried are my guys.
I agree with you. It really does change the scope of not only what you do pairing Scherzer, because it's not like you're pairing Scherzer with the Austin Voth piece that you had before, so that changes everything. It also changes the construction of stacks. It makes teams like the Braves even more difficult to get to with a Scherzer pairing. This is a really big domino. So
yeah,
he's the best option on the slate. We're not telling anybody anything that's they don't already know. Max Scherzer is one of the 5 best pitchers in baseball, and you should play him a lot, generally speaking, at any price you would like. I project him for 2 more strikeouts than Rich Hill. Like full strikeouts, 2.0. Going to be interesting to see how this shakes out. Tune into the deeper dive starting at 5 o'clock today with Adam, Laffy, and Alex Baker, Osimo himself. They'll go over this. They'll handle weather concerns. We'll have a lot more information as we get closer to that. And then live before lock, Chris Spags and Jake Hari taking you from 6 to 7:05. Judging based on the weather reports right now, being around for that information, figuring out what games are starting late, which games have potential to be postponed. You want to check that out. Alex is always posting postpone risks. That's part of some of our premium offerings. In our projections table, Alex will give you a % chance that a game is going to be postponed. Very, very interesting information if you're trying to manage weather risks. We have it baked into our projections for you. So check that out. Use the promo code MLB Strategy if you want to check it out. 50% off your first month with us. And again, shout out to Yahoo for being the presenting sponsor. I'm going to drop that link in here one last time for Emacs Spotlight Hitters article. If you check that out, there's a link in it to Yahoo. You can use that to sign up with the promo code Osimo and get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports Rewards points. Adam, anything else?
Nope.
If you are a premium sub, keep yourself in Slack closer to lock. There's going to be a lot of news today. Feels like it's going to be one that's big time up in the air all the way to 7. It is a basketball slate. That's a good point. Yeah, if you play NBA DFS, this one should feel pretty familiar. That's all I've got. Hit the like button on your way out the door. Subscribe to the channel. Check out the deep dive from Laffy in the early afternoon, and we'll see you guys later today. Adios.